the top order of the grid, the pole position shootout. Of course, you want to be starting at the front, because that means you have all the other, well, 18 drivers in this case, starting behind you. To paraphrase Will Buxton from Drive to Survive, if anyone wants to call me out for being Will Buxton, please don't. I'd rather like to think I'm slightly more interesting as a commentator, but let me know. Is that a well-founded self-belief, or is it not? As here we go now, all the drivers loaded in, making sure they are connected properly to the lobby. And we have a green flag and a ticking clock, and that means qualifying 1 is underway. Lovely 2x2 nature there. The 2 Haskars, the 2 Fros, and the 2 Kick Saubers, provisionally in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. As the first few seconds tick by, just to let all of the cars get their desired setups underway. And I can see some movement down here in the Mercedes and McLaren garage. There's someone further up in the Kick Saubers as well. But here we go, the first car's out into the fast lane. The McLaren of Moomin Rider is one of them, as is one of the Mercedes. I'm not sure which one that was. That might be Taz Manager. It is indeed, as we hit now the main straight. And there go the cars. The cars will hit up to 220 miles an hour down this straight in race pace with DRS open. A little bit more than that in qualifying trim with the hot lap battery. But it is the Dutchie in the Kick Sauber coming down towards the De La Rocha chicane. That is the first car out on track. This will give him a slight advantage, especially later into the sessions, with not having to run the risk of slowing down for yellow flags. He is on medium tyres, is the Dutchie, so will have not optimum pace, but feeling confident in Kick Sauber though that they're going to get through Q1 with only a set of mediums. And as we look to check Daymid, the Dutchie's teammate, also on a set of in the Dayglow green Kick Sauber car. Let's have a look who else has gone out on track on what tyres. There's Jonathan Corr. Four wheels cross the line, invalidated lap. This will not count for anything, so now we look toward Moomin Rider, who's the next car on track. He's still on a valid lap, coming into the curve to Alboreto. In that McLaren, opens up the exit of the corner. But Moomin Rider up to the line. I thought he was going to bail into the pits there, but no, that's just the camera angle. It's 1:20.8, the first car to set a lap time, immediately beaten by Jonathan Corrin on the soft compound tyres, 1:20.5. Carlos Sainz slides in with a 21.1 little trips, 1:20.9, splitting Moomin Rider and Carlos Sainz. Taz Manager, slowest yet of anyone, on a 21.2 in the Mercedes. And here comes the Ferraris, or starting hot laps. We've got a few cars in the back end of the track who are finishing up laps. Here's one of them, Daddy Cool, on the way up to the line. to set a 21.8. Damir goes purple on a 120.1 on a set of mediums. That's an impressive lap time for the Kick Sauber car. Dino puts a 137.3 in on a set of softs. I presume that was an aborted first flying lap. Cam McKenzie a 121.7 to go to P7. Brad is on a flying lap. There he is coming out of the Curve de Alboreto up to the line for the Red Bull truck. And that Red Bull, the two Ferraris are also on track at the moment, coming up to the end of their respective laps. 53.0 for Dangerous Dave through the middle sector. Meanwhile, Adam Fleetwood's rounding the trying to get as much Italian horsepower out of that engine as he can, and there it is, a 119.335, goes to provisional P1. Dangerous Dave, the next car to cross the line in anger. Runs up to the line and sets a 120.0, goes P3. So the Ferrari's showing early pace here. Adams in the second Red Bull has put a 120.7 in. That is good enough for P6 at the moment. Neither V-Carb has made its way out onto track. Who was that who's just slid a lap time in? At the front somewhere. Dino's put a lap time in of a 120.7. That drops Moomin Rider down to 8th place. The Dutchie is on an out lap. We saw his first lap being invalidated at that corner just at the top of your screen. The exit of the Ascari chicane. As I said, one V-Carb now out on track. That is Phoenix Grey. We've not seen Smalley, Lewis W, Ben Wright or Ale yet. But here we go with the Dutchie on a set of medium tyres. In that Kick Sauber, DRS wide open. And now hit the brakes. Pick your braking point into the first chicane. Minor lockup indicated on screen. Get the traction down as soon as you dare. That looked a little bit slidey from the Dutchie on that reverse angle, but that might have just been the camera. It's now blast your way through the Curva Grande, take the line of least resistance, and then come back to the left-hand side as we look to open up the De La Rocha. 26.5 through the first sector for the Kick Sauber driver. Don't go out into the grass on exit as you hit the two Lesmos. Not taking as much exit there on the exit of Lesmo 1 as the Dutchie necessarily could. Did take all of the exit on the second Lesmo, and down the hill we go. We'll follow the Dutchie to the end of the lap. He's really the only one on a flying lap at the moment as he hits the Ascari chicane. 53.5 through the middle sector for the Dutchie. Keeps it inbounds through Ascari. Now it's just one corner to go. One more braking zone. One more pick up of the throttle. And here we go, the Dutchie into the Curva de Alboreto corner, formerly known as Parabolica. Use as much of the track as you can, and up to the line for the Dutchie. What's it going to be? It's a 120.6, goes to P6, half a second behind the other Kick Sauber of Damir. Who else is on a lap? That is Phoenix Grey on a lap, who's just started 126.5 through the first sector on a set of medium tyres. For the championship contender, currently sitting P2 as I mentioned at the start of the stream, 12 points behind his teammate who is now out on track, Ben Wright, in the second V-Carb. It's now Phoenix Grey down the hill under the old track. 53.222 for the Scotsman, rounding the Ascari chicane. Keep it in bounds, does so very nicely. The ground effect really working on the underside of that RB. And now into Parabolica, Curva de Alboreto. As his championship rival and teammate has started a flying lap now, going through the Curva Grande. Phoenix Grey, though, not worrying about any of that. It's a 120.3 on medium tyres. Goes to P5. What in response can Ben Wright do? Here he is, wiggling his way through the exit of the De La Rocha chicane. Lewis W is the car up the road, also on a flying lap, also on a set of medium tyres. Smalley is out on track at the moment for Aston Martin on a set of softs, as is Ale on a set of mediums for Williams. Meanwhile, Lewis W has got out of the way of the championship contender Ben Wright. 52.895 through the middle sector. That's a much better middle sector than what we saw for Phoenix Grey. So Ben Wright trying to take the early honours of the weekend after one flying run. Only has this one corner to go. You pick up the apex as soon as possible and then let the car run out wide as much as you dare. Ben Wright on the way up to the line. It's going to be a 1:19.6, goes straight away to P2 on a set of medium tyres. That's the new marker for his championship teammate. Carlos Sainz, interestingly, just as a note, has gone to P13 on a 1:21.000. Always quite enjoying seeing someone hit a second time dead. Smalley starting a flying lap for Aston Martin. Ale starting a flying lap for Williams. Lewis is on maybe another push lap after aborting his previous run. Who else is on track? We've got Dino and the Mercedes on track on a set of softs. Daddy Cool currently the first driver in the dropout zone on that 21.8, starting a flying lap on a set of softs. Obviously looking to improve ahead of Cam Mackenzie, who is still in the pits. We're over 10 minutes of the way through the session, 7 minutes 40 to go. Taz manager not finding any time in the first sector. Carlos Sainz has backed out of his flying lap. We've got Ferrari returning to the pits. Let's have a look. How is Lewis W doing? He's still on the push lap coming into the final corner. Has got a Williams up ahead. That is Carlos Sainz. That might provide a little bit of dirty air for the Haas driver as he rounds the final corner and now up to the line, trying to get as much slipstream as possible. Lewis W joins the 1:19 club. A 1:19.8 goes to P4. Ale 1:22.5. Smalley on the way up to the line for the Aston Martin team. 22.9. So currently the dropout four are Cam Mackenzie, Daddy Cool, Ale and Smalley. All needing to improve. Cam Mackenzie needing to find half a second just to get out of the drop zone ahead of Taz manager. Taz manager who is just starting a lap going into turns 1 and 2 for Mercedes. Dino also on a lap in the other Mercedes car. It found a marginal improvement through the first sector, finds 0.4 of a second in the middle sector, so the track's rubbing in here at Monza, and that's just going to play favours to those in the danger zone that need to improve. It's gonna, and depending on how much rubbering in we see, are those at the top of the field going to feel a little bit unnervy as here comes Dino round the Curva de Alboreto. Floors that Mercedes right up to the line. 1:20.4, finds 0.3 of a second improvement, jumps up to P8 from P13. So that is the kind of improvement we could look to see. Cam Mackenzie starting a new flying lap for Haas. There he goes into the first chicane. Smalley looks to be on another push lap here. Is going to improve by over a second. Doesn't gain a position, but goes to a 21.8 and just closes that gap down. Ale was also on a flying lap. He got a 1:20.4 in there. 0.005 of a second behind Dino. That was just a couple of moments ago, so that is why Ale is up to 9th, and Smalley, with that, even though that was a big improvement, didn't climb a position there. Taz manager now in the drop zone has just returned to pits for the Mercedes. There he is, getting serviced in front of us. Cam Mackenzie's on his way down to end the second sector and finds half a second of improvement. Ben Wright retires from the session in P2. He reckons he's done on that set of medium tyres. Bit of a dangerous game there by the championship leader, obviously banking on drivers not picking up, or not the track not rubbering in as much as potentially we've seen in other tracks. Cam Mackenzie though out of the final corner, up to the line for the Haas team, improves by half a second, closes that gap down, is 1/1000th of a second behind Taz manager for P16, but still a 10.5 behind the safety net of that 21.0 and Q2. Who else is on a lap? Daddy Cool is on an outlap for the Alpine. There he is. Who was that who's just finished a lap and jumped a few spots? It was Lil Drips in Alpine, improved by half a second. Up to P10 he goes to a 1:20.4. And then taking the escape road at the end of the first chicane, making sure he's out of everyone's way. As one of the Aston Martins who's just gone through shot there, it's Smalley, I believe, is on a push lap here. We've got 3 cars coming down the main straight. Smalley's teammate, Jonathan Corin, makes up the other end of this train going through the first sector. Smalley not improving, but only 11 thousandths of a second up over his previous best. So not much time there lost through the first sector. Daddy Cool, we don't get a split for. That's mildly frustrating. Jonathan Corin, though, we will get a split for, but he's 300ths of a second up on his previous best, so no improvement. And has also got the De La Rogier chicane wrong, so Jonathan Corin is on an invalidated lap. That's this run over. Smalley wasn't able to find time in the middle sector either. Can he pull together the mother of all last sectors to improve on this 121.8? Interestingly, Phoenix Grey is out on track on a push lap on a set of mediums, has found a 10th and a bit through the first sector, looking to join the 119 club that make up the top 5, as Adams is in there. I believe that might have been this run that he put that 119.8 in. Daddy Cool on his way up to the line, finds 9/10 of a second, jumps up to P15, is safe but only by about 800ths of a second over Carlos Sainz, who is back out on track in the Williams for the Williams car. Taz Manager's coming around the final corner, he's getting ready to go again. Smalley has made his way back to the pits. Jonathan Corin still out on track, but he's dialing in that Aston Martin to go for another run by the looks of it. 2 minutes 10 left on the clock. So if you're not on track now, you've got to get out on track very soon, as Lil Drips retires from the session on that one. Phoenix Grey's set a 119.977 on those, on that second run on medium tyres. So he does join the 119 gang, but unable to get inside 0.3 of a second of his championship rival Ben Wright, who is on track at the moment. Jonathan Corin's on track, as we mentioned, but he's on another slow lap, obviously wanting to recharge that battery. Moomin Rider's on an invalidated lap for McLaren. Daddy Cool, I believe, is on an in lap after setting that 120.9. Carlos Sainz is finding time in the first sector from that 121.000. Cam McKenzie and Smalley out on track. Smalley only just joining us on track. He's going to have to push to get round, to get back round, to start a flying lap. Taz Manager, though, with only a corner to go on this flying lap. So we've got a yellow flag in sector 3, as that is Adams retiring from the session in the Red Bull. Here we go for Taz Manager up to the line. A minute left on the clock. This is his last run of Q1. Does not get out of the drop zone. A 120.982 goes to P16. That is his qualifying session done. Taz Manager at best will start 16th. Carlos Sainz finding time through the middle sector as well. He's on a set of softs. He needs to find a few hundredths of a second, and he does. He finds half a second. In fact, he goes to P11, 6 thousandths of a second behind his teammate LA. And that drops Daddy Cool into the drop zone, who's back in the pit. So Daddy Cool and Taz Manager are definitely out. Cam McKenzie beat the flag. He's back around on a new flying lap. Smalley has got 18 seconds to get back around and beat the flag on this flight to get one last flying run in. He's got a Williams up ahead of LA. He's going to get a perfect slipstream then down the front straightaway. So LA going to try and help Smalley out a little bit here as they want to get out of the drop zone. Moomin Rider is going to be the first car to see the flag. He's up to the line, was improving, does improve, but only by a quarter of a second. Gets ahead of the 2 Williams, though. That could be pivotal. He's up to P10. The next 2 cars to come across the line. Taz Manager on a slow lap, and the Dutchie on an invalidated lap. So the Dutchie on a 120.6 has got to be feeling hopeful that no one can improve behind. Cam McKenzie can't improve behind. Through the middle sector, 1.4 seconds up. He's not going to go anywhere. Taz Manager's on that slow lap. Smalley, though, found time in the first sector, found a quarter of a second. This is to get himself out of the drop zone. Needs to find 1.2 seconds to get clear and to drop the Dutchie into the drop zone. Will be picking up a slipstream all the way through the back end of the lap. Has found another couple of tenths in the middle sector. He's improved by half a second. Needs a very good final sector, though, to get himself into safety. Meanwhile, LA up the road is just doing a lap for fun pretty much. Into the last corner for Smalley. We'll follow him all the way through it. And the Aston Martin driver up to the line. What's it going to be? A 121.2. He finds 0.6 of a second, but that's not enough to get him up a position or into safety. Smalley stays P19, and there we go. From 16th to 19th, the drivers are Daddy Cool, Taz Manager, Cam McKenzie and Smalley, and that is the end of qualifying 1. As Carlos Sainz gets pushed away in the Williams into his garage. He's safe in P12. As Alea was able to improve on the lap that he was on in front of Smalley to a 120.2. He was always going to be safe, but just doing it for pride. As there is the official classifications, Adam Fleetwood and Adams, the only 2 drivers to make it into the 119s on soft tyres. Everyone else doing it on mediums. Damir and Alea, the other 2 cars on mediums. Everyone else set a lap time on softs at the end of Q1, so that's going to be important to note. What can the likes of Ben Wright, Bradders, Lewis, Phoenix Gray, Damir and Alea bring to the table when they're on a set of the soft compound tyres? Someone else lower down the order was also on a set of mediums. I didn't quite see who that was. But we get a green flag at the end of the pit lane and Q2 just about to start. And there it is. Q2 underway. A ticking clock tells us that at the top of the screen. As I said, the times get reset, but other than that, nothing else changes. You still want to be the fastest driver at the end of the 15 minutes this time. We'll lose the bottom 5, and straight away a number of cars straight out into the fast lane to get an early lap time in. As almost everyone straight out into the fast lane. There's one of the Ferraris, Adam Fleetwood, who was looking quick in the first part of qualifying session. Damir out on track, Dutchy out on track. Ben Wright's even going out on track straight out the gates as well. That looks like that was Bradders, Carlos Sainz, Lil Drips. Moomin Rider, Alea, Phoenix Gray. Both Red Bulls rolling down the lane as well. So almost all of the drivers straight out on track for the first run of Q2. In fact, it's going to be quicker to say who the drivers not going out on track are, and that's the sole remaining Aston Martin of Jonathan Corrin, the Williams of Alea, and the Haas of Lewis W. Everyone else is out on track, and I say that, and Lewis W goes out into the fast lane. So here we go, everyone on track but 2 cars. And even then, that's Jonathan Corrin joining the fast lane. He's going to be fed out right into the path of all the cars on hot laps. And it's going to be Carlos Sainz, the first car that makes his way down the pit straight. So here we go. Carlos Sainz, the first lap of Q2 gets underway. And there is Jonathan Corrin staying well off the racing line, well out of everyone's way. See, as Carlos Sainz takes a massive amount of curb on the way through the first chicane. The Williams of Alea also now out on track. Both Jonathan Corrin and Alea getting well out of the way. Here comes one of the RBs through the first chicane. Alea almost stops into the braking zone to get out of the way there, as Carlos Sainz makes his way through the 2 Lesmos. We've got a yellow flag going into the Curve de Alboreto. That's for the 2 Red Bull cars that are a few hundred metres up the road from this man. Carlos Sainz is going now under the old banking, emerging out from the shadows of the trees to set a 53.2 through the middle sector, and gets it wrong through the Scari chicane. Gets to keep his foot in though if he wants to. Carlos Sainz going for cheat mode to try and get a lap time in here. This lap surely will not count. As he heads into the Scari, into the Curve de Alboreto. Carlos Sainz bailing and returning to pit lane. Little drips though, so going to be the first car up to set a flying lap. 120.8 straight away. Phoenix Grey 119.6. That's the new pace for them all to beat. Adam Fleetwood a 19.6, but a little bit faster than Phoenix Grey. The Dutch here 120.697 goes to P4. Ben Wright comes through with a 119.487, quite a high 119.4 then. So only about a tenth and a bit in front of his championship rival Phoenix Grey, and Adam Fleetwood, who's looking pacey in that Ferrari. Daymare 120.1, Moomin Rider 120.3, Dangerous Dave 120.177. And that is the end of the first batch of cars making their way through pit lane, or making their way down the straight, sorry. Next car coming through, it's Dino in the Mercedes, up to the line, 120.178, 1,000th of a second behind Dangerous Dave, goes into P6. Who's next? That was Adam setting a lap time of a 120.5. Next up, it's Lewis in the sole remaining Haas, 119.6 on an invalidated lap time, so that won't count. Bradders returns to pit lane. So what can Jonathan Corin and Ale do? So they are the last two cars on track to complete their first flying run at least, as both head down into the Curva de Alboreto. And here we go, Jonathan Corin up to the line for the Aston Martin team. 120.193, another one into the 120.1s. Ale, the next car up to the line, 119.697. Bang. So 3 cars separated by less than a tenth of a second in the top 4. 4 cars separated by less than a tenth of a second in the midfield. Daymare all the way down to this man here, Jonathan Corin, as the rest make their way back to the pit lane. Lewis though still on a flying lap for the Haas team on those yellow walled medium tyres. Just as a reminder, Carlos Sainz makes his way back out onto pit lane. Back out from pit lane, I should say, as he looks to get a new lap time in, first lap time in. Bradder's also out on track, but Lewis is bailing and heading into the pits. So it's just the two of Carlos Sainz, and here is Carlos Sainz rounding the Curva de Alboreto, opening up the DRS once he crosses the line, of course, because they shortened the DRS stretch at Monza just for it being so powerful a number of years ago. Carlos Sainz into the first corner at his second attempt at his first flying lap. We've got a yellow flag in sector 3 for a slow moving Jonathan Corin. We've got Bradders out there on track going through the second Lesmo, warming up his medium tyres for his second attempt at a first flying lap. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz on the way down to the De La Rocha chicane, 126.485 through the first sector for Carlos Sainz. Very aptly, of course, driving for that Williams team, which real-life Carlos Sainz will be doing come March time of next year. Carlos Sainz 53.1 through the middle sector as well, so some pace in this Williams. Ale up there in under the 1 minute 20s, so this Williams looking dialed in. That Mercedes power engine looking to give it some very handy straight line speed as Bradders starts a flying lap here. And we've got Dangerous Dave and Lewis W and Moomin Rider back out on track for a new attempt at a flying lap. Carlos Sainz though up to the line, 120.525, goes to P11. Is 4,000ths away from being safe. So just make sure that my mic is still working. Indeed it is. I just heard a little crackle in my ear. As eyes now turn to Bradders in the Red Bull, 26.3 through the first sector for the Red Bull driver. Carlos Sainz did that lap time on a set of softs, just as a point to make. Bradders though, 52.7 through the middle sector, taking as many liberties as he dare with the inside curb, but the first part of Ascari now opening up the last corner, the right-hander of Parabolica. Flick the Red Bull in. Really very few drivers seem to be using all the track extremities out of Parabolica. Bradders, though, is definitely one that's doing it, and he's into the 119.6s. Just a little bit in front of LA, just a little bit behind Phoenix Grey. So Bradders on a set of mediums. That Red Bull's got some pace in it too. Who else is on a lap? Dangerous Dave on a lap for Ferrari, improving by a 10th and a half, looking to get himself out of the midfield battle on the 120.1s. I'm going to say this now though, I really hope if we've got this many drivers separated by this little, this is going to be an amazingly tight Grand Prix to come, so I really hope you don't go anywhere, folks. It's Dangerous Dave, four-wheel drift coming out of the second Lesmo. Kept it pointing the right way under the traction zone, but it might lose him a little bit of time through the lap as he's 4 tenths up though still through the middle sector. Dangerous Dave dialed in that Ferrari, looking to close the gap down to his teammate Adam Fleetwood, who currently sits in P2. We've got 6 minutes to go. That's how quickly time flies. I really hope you're having as much fun as I am, as Moomin Rider improves his lap time to a 1:20.302, just securing that P10 a little bit more. Dangerous Dave, though, up to the line, secures his position, goes to P4, so it's RB Ferrari, RB Ferrari. Of course, the RB team, no strangers to good things here, thanks to the likes of Pierre Gasly and Sebastian Vettel with their miracle wins in 2020 and 2008 respectively. Lewis W in the Haas just setting a 119.6. Of course, I think that's where they all want to be, and so that is now first down to 7th, separated by precisely 0.21 of a second. As Adams in the second Red Bull, not quite getting into the 119.6s on that 119.7, but again another car on the fringes. Now the top 8 separated by 0.301 of a second. This is going to be an absolute crackerjack of a race if all of these cars have this race pace. As Damir back into the pits, Dino's on an outlap for Mercedes, Jonathan Coran's in the pits, Moomin Rider is now down to P12 with others around him going quickly, again that little bit quicker. Lil Drips is on a flying lap. He found 3 tenths of a second through the middle sector. We'll follow him to the end of his current flying lap as he makes his way under the old circuit. Lil Drips, 4 tenths of a second improvement through the middle sector. Has that rear tail light flashing? That usually means that the car's in recharge mode, so how much battery does he have left for this straight and the next straight to come in the Alpine? As he makes his way into the Curva de Alboreto to complete the lap. Just under 4 minutes to go. Lil Drips keeping his foot in and up to the line in the Alpine. 120.4, improves by 4 tenths of a second, goes to P13. He might have time, if he really flies on the in-lap, to get back to the pits, get a new set of boots on and get back out on track for a final flying run. But it's Bradders and Dino out on track at the moment. Dino rounding the Curva de Alboreto, 3.5 minutes to go. It's going to be the first car to start a flying lap. The 1:20.1 group have now made their way down to 9th, 10th and 11th respectively. So these three are all in the danger zone. Damir, Dino and Jonathan Coran. As there is Jonathan Coran's engineer sending him out into the fast lane of the pit lane. Dino at the end of the middle sector finding 8 thousandths of a second improvement. Could do with that being 8 tenths of a second improvement, but of course the first sector is really only that first chicane as Dino makes his way around the first and second Lesmos. And now down the hill under the old track into the middle sector split, a 10.5 improvement. This is good from Dino. This is going to get him into the 119s if he can keep this pace through the rest of the lap. Who else is on track? That is the Dutchie on an outlap. But Dino not worrying about that. Bradders has just started a flying lap too. Carlos Sainz as well, I believe. But those two are in the first sector. Dino's coming to the end of the lap altogether and up to the line. Dino, it's a 119.9. He gets up to P9. 2 tenths behind Adams, 2 tenths clear of Damir. in time. Jonathan, that drops Damir down to P10. He is now the driver at rest. Carlos Sainz is finding time through the first sector, as potentially is Bradders. No, Bradders is only a fraction of a second behind himself in the first sector. Carlos Sainz finds 3/10 in the middle sector though. Bradders has bailed on this flying lap. A minute and a half to go though, as Little Drips retires from the session. He's going to start at best 13th. But that looks unlikely as Carlos Sainz rounds the final corner on a lap he has improved on. 3/10 in the middle sector. Up to the line for the Williams driver. Carlos Sainz, 1:20.066, gets to P10. Is that going to be safe as the 4 cars behind him that are still in the session are starting or on push laps? The Dutchy Moomin rider. There's Jonathan Corin on the apex of the final corner, about to start a final flying lap. We've got a minute to go. Damir, that is the last car in that little plethora to set final flying lap times. Carlos Sainz, that's the best he can do, as Moomin rider not improving through the first sector. That's critical for Carlos Sainz's dreams of getting out of Q2 into Q3. The Dutchy will wait for his middle sector split as he makes the plunge under the old banking, finding 3/10 of a second. This could be an important lap for the Dutchy. Jonathan Corin, we didn't get a split for. Damir is just making his way around the Curva Grande. What can Damir do to get that other kick Sauber out? Damir can't improve through the first sector, so currently it's only the Dutchy that's improved through the first sector that we've been able to see, as the Dutchy out of the Curva de Alboreto up to the line, takes the checkered flag, improves by 3/10 of a second up to 14th, drops Little Drips down to 15th. So that's the bottom 2 sorted. Moomin rider still not improving. He's out. He's bailing into the pit lane. He's done. 13th through 15th sorted. Damir and Jonathan Corin, the last 2 that could knock Carlos Sainz back into 11th or 12th. Jonathan Corin rounds the final corner now. Keeps the Aston Martin pinned. There's contact. Was that Carlos Sainz on track? It was. Was that deliberate? Jonathan Corin rather rudely gets a 5-place grid penalty from the in-game race control. That looked a little bit deliberate for me, with it being Carlos Sainz. But what can Damir do on his way up to the line? Cannot improve. Carlos Sainz with a little bit of mischievous intent gets through to Q3, only to be disqualified from the session with a checkered flag flying. So he is straight away out in Q2. I suppose that is the definition of you reap what you sow. Phoenix Grey was on track just in case he needed to set another lap time. He was safe though in the 19.6s. Well, Twitch chat, we've got to have a conversation about that, haven't we? Let's have a look. Is there anything going on in the chat lounge? No one mentioning it at the moment. Brad is saying he's up to P3 on that 19.5. While we were so busy focusing about the dropout zone, we didn't even mention LA got up into the 19.5. So did Bradders. They're both on softs, and Bradders saying he's not showing his full pace yet over his team radio. He's keeping something in the tank. Adam Fleetwood P4, Lewis W, Phoenix Grey, Dangerous Dave, Adams Dino, and in the most dramatic of circumstances, Damir will get up into P10 as Carlos Sainz DSQs and will start P15. Jonathan Corin, though, with that 5-place grid drop, will drop him down to 16th, so Carlos Sainz will actually start. Carlos Sainz straight away. Well, the drama of Q2 leaves us behind. we have a green flag and a ticking clock, which means that Q3 is underway. They have 12 minutes now to set the fastest lap possible. They have one chance left to do it. I'm going to keep following Discord chat because I would love to see what is being said going on there. Carlos Sainz saying that he deliberately DSQ'd himself. He can't believe what he did. The red mist definitely descending there for the Williams driver, and so deliberately DSQing himself to return, I guess, the position. Cam McKenzie asking what he missed. To answer your question, Cam, in the dying moments of final flying laps in Q2, Carlos Sainz in the Williams went slowly, aborted a run into the pits and stayed out on the racing line. Jonathan Corrin in the Aston Martin couldn't react in time and got collected, and that meant that Jonathan Corrin's lap, wasn't able to finish a lap. The game's given him a 5-place grid drop, and he rather rudely didn't get through to Q3. So that is the end of, that's one for the highlights reel. Which I reckon I might make just at the end of this, just as a new experiment. Guys, let me know in the Twitch chat. Would you be up for a cheeky little highlight reel post session? That's all in the future, though. In the here and now, we've got Lewis W starting a flying lap, the first flying lap of Q3. He's being followed by Phoenix Gray, who's going to get a perfect little slipstream down the main straight into the first chicane. Yes, Cam, there is indeed a floating safety car on track. That is a known bug that I didn't know about until last week, in all fairness. Apparently the drivers cannot see it, but Mylander will just appear on our screen every now and then as we flick to drivers that are on laps. The only car not out on track yet is the Williams of Ale. But everyone else is out on track. 5 cars on flying laps, 4 cars on out laps, 1 car in the pits. And Lewis W making his way into the middle sector split, 52.6. We didn't get to see what it was for Phoenix Gray. Lewis W rounding the Curva de Alboreto as Carlos Sainz just gives us a his rundown of what has gone on. Lewis W straight away 119.420, Phoenix Gray 119.669 goes to P2. Adam Fleetwood takes provisional pole away from the Haas car, 119.395, improving by a quarter of a tenth of a second. Anyone else coming to the end of a lap? Ben Wright's coming to the end of a lap on a 19.235. That takes provisional pole off the table for the moment by 0.16 of a second. As the Mercedes of Dino returns to pit lane, Ale still in the pits. Everyone else on flying laps, and it's Dangerous Dave that's coming to the end of one here. This is an important one. Both Ferraris have been looking quick all the way through the weekend, as have the 2 Red Bulls. To be fair, all of the top 10 are looking mighty quick at the moment. So Dangerous Dave up the line, 119.6, goes to P4. Phoenix Gray all of a sudden is yet the slowest of anyone so far. Adams, though, on a 19.8 goes, takes that title away from Phoenix Gray into P6. Bradders on a flying lap coming to the end of Sector 2. Damir on a flying lap at the end of Sector 2. 52.7, 52.9 for the Kick Sauber and the Red Bull driver respectively, as they make their way out of the Ascari chicane up toward the Curva de Alboreto to complete their first flying laps. Carlos Sainz saying that he didn't see Jonathan Corrin, hence the DSQ. Damir up to the line, 19.9. Bradders up to the line, 19.95. So there is a little bit of the bottom end of the field at the moment. Of course, all of these cars would have breezed through both the first part of qualifying. So so far, all of them that are in the 119s. All the while, still no sign of the Williams of Dino, of LA, and the Mercedes of Dino. I say that, and the Mercedes of Dino gets the go-ahead to head out on track. This might be his only flying run in Quali 3. As I believe that was a LA at the end of the pit lane that got a release. No, it was Lewis W, who sits P3 at the moment on that 19.4. What does everyone have left in the tank? Can anyone pull a lap seemingly out of thin air? It's Dino on track. Still no sign yet of LA in the Williams. Has been holding his final flying runs till very late in the session, so LA just sitting comfortably for a moment, maybe getting a little cup of tea, keeping those nerves as calm and as few as possible. You let everyone else build themselves up, especially this man here. This is an important qualifying for Phoenix Grey. 12 points behind, 3 races to go, including this one to come. Of course, you don't get points for qualifying. But they are all vital positions, no matter where you start. Dino on track. Lewis W behind, Adam Fleetwood, Phoenix Grey. Your 4 cars out on track at the moment. Everyone else is in the pit lane with still no sign of a LA yet. Lewis W though going to be the first car to start a second flying run here in Q3. Are we going to see some 3 run attempts from the drivers? Dino's waiting behind. He wants the slipstream from the Ferrari of Adam Fleetwood and the RB of Phoenix Grey as he rounds the final corner, and here we go for Dino. Less than 5 minutes left on the clock, so they're going to be pushing to get 3 runs in, these 3 drivers. As we can see, it's about an 80-second lap here at Monza, and Lewis W is going to try and bring his lap time down a little bit more. No improvement though through the first sector. Is the track going to fall away from them as the evening sun comes out here in Italy? Although massive, wow, 3.5 tenths of a second improvement for Adam Fleetwood through the first sector. Are we going to see a car get into the 118s? This is going to be electrifying pace from the Ferrari driver if he can pull it off. Meanwhile, Phoenix Grey is the next car behind. Then there's Dino. One of the other Ferrari of Dangerous Dave has joined. Wow, I'm struggling with my words. Dangerous Dave has joined us out on track in the second Ferrari. Meanwhile, Lewis W still no improvement through the middle sector. Adam Fleetwood though setting another purple sector. Adam Fleetwood, he looks really dialed in that Ferrari as he makes his way up to the final corner. He's kept it perfectly in bounds. He's got 1 more corner to go. Lewis W returning to pit lane. 3.5 minutes left on the clock. Adam Fleetwood looking to set a new benchmark. Are we going to see a 118? We are going to see a 118. A 118.8, 6 tenths of a second improvement. 4 tenths clear of anyone else. Beat that, everyone. Phoenix Grey in the background sets a 119.461. Dino a 120.084. Phoenix Grey jumping up ahead of Dangerous Dave. Bradders joins us out on track in the Red Bull. The second Ferrari of Dangerous Dave starts a new flying lap. We'll follow Dangerous Dave as he's the only car on a flying lap at the moment, with Bradders just joining us out on track. So Dangerous Dave doing it in front of the Tifosi. His teammates already up on provisional pole position with 2 minutes 45 left on the clock. What can Dangerous Dave do? Can he get that Ferrari out and up into the top 2 rows? He improves by 0.08 of a second through the first sector. A good start. Who else is out on track? That looks like Adams in the second Red Bull on that 19.8 that sees him in P6 for the moment. Meanwhile, Dangerous Dave coming through the second Lesmo. Damir rolling down pit exit as well. They're all just dialing it in now. Dangerous Dave not gaining much time in the middle sector. Only 0.08 of a second. Could do with a really dialed in last sector for Ferrari. As those that have just finished a lap get back to pit lane, they might have time to get a new set of boots on with just under 2 minutes to go. They'll need to push it. Oh, that looked a little bit slidey from Dangerous Dave. coming out of the Curva de Alboreto up to the line. No, Dave's not having it. He's into the pits. Can he get another set of softs on? It will have to be a racing pit stop for both Ferraris to get them back out on track, as Lewis is back out on track for the Haas team. Bradders is the only car at the moment on a flying lap, but they're all coming out now, including the elusive LA with a minute 30 to go. Bradders improving by a tenth and a half, 26.2 through the first sector. It will be looking to find over a second, over 1.1 seconds to get up to provisional pole position. Dangerous Dave leaves the session. We hope that he can reconnect in the next couple of moments. Meanwhile, Bradders has invalidated himself. Can he recharge the battery? Has he noticed he's invalidated? Can he recharge the battery and get round? He has a minute to go, so he can definitely get round. But I think he's bailed on this lap now. Damir starting a new lap in the kick Sauber. He's got the track pretty much to himself. He's the only one in the first sector pretty much at the moment, with the exception of this man, Adams, who's just set a 26.2 through the first sector, finding 0.4 of a second improvement. Who else is on track? Ben Wright, Lewis are on track. LA is on track on an outlap. They're all about to start their flying laps. Adam Fleetwood back out on track as well. He got a new set of boots on. Is anyone else rolling down pit lane? Dangerous Dave and Phoenix Gray both look to still be in the pits. And I would guess at this point now that is the end of their session with 15 seconds to go. Of course it is. Bradders is starting a new lap. This is his only chance he's got. LA starting his only flying lap. Who's coming around the final corner? Are they going to get one last lap in? No, it's Adams. It's an invalidated lap. He invalidated himself through the Ascari chicane since we stopped following Adams. So he was going to improve to a 19.3. That would have seen him up to P3, but Adams, the best he can do is P6. The checkered flag falls. Dangerous Dave, Phoenix Gray and Adam Fleetwood are all done, as is Dino slightly further back. Damir's not improved. He's going nowhere. Bradders is finding a quarter of a second. Needs to find a lot more to really challenge the front. Lewis has found 0.3 of a second. Ben Wright found 1,000th of a second through the first sector. How much time in the middle? Only a 10th. So it looks like Adam Fleetwood could be on for pole here. But we're going to follow Bradders now as he makes his way around the final corner. Then we'll cut up to Lewis. Bradders in the Red Bull. What can he do? Has he got enough energy in the tank to complete a flying lap? Up to the line for Bradders. 19.5. He goes to P5. Lewis up to the line. Goes to P2. 19.0. Who's next up to the line? It's going to be Ben Wright up to the line next. A 19.0 takes back the provisional front row. 12,000th of a second in it. LA in the Williams. What can he do? 19.5 goes to P5. Drops Bradders down a position. So there we are at the end of qualifying. Adam Fleetwood on pole position by nearly 0.2 of a second, or by over 0.2 of a second I should say, to Ben Wright, the championship leader. Lewis W in P3. Phoenix Gray will start in P4. That is important to start straight behind his teammate. LA P5, Bradders P6, Dangerous Dave P7, Adams P8, Damir P9, Dino P10. But a good day for the Tifosi with 4 Italian-made cars in the top 7, as I just checked myself on that one. There is the final lap times and the classifications. Don't go anywhere, folks, because I'm expecting this to be an amazing run. Brad is saying straight away they're on 14% tyres. So Brad is potentially having a bit more pace than that 19.5 in there. And straight away, Damir saying the race will start at 9:05 British time. That is in 5 minutes or just under that. And so we get a little bit of time. Dangerous Dave. Hopefully we'll be able to rejoin the lobby and get back in for Ferrari, just to give the Tifosi 2 cars in Two cars that have looked quick all the way through qualifying. So, for those of you wondering why it's the Curva de Alboreto and not the Parabolica anymore, at least why I refer to it, Michele Alboreto, very good. One of my kind of second choice favourite drivers through the 1980s. Drove for Ferrari for quite a few seasons. Again, through that 1980s period. And I believe died not that long ago. As a result, the track runners at Monza decided to rename it to the Curva de Alboreto and not the Parabolica, which is of course what it was always known as, well, at the very least when I was growing up, and I suspect for many other people. As we just wait for the clock to tick down, 4 minutes left on my timer, just coming up to the 3-minute board. In fact, I can see the marshal with the 3-minute board now. Someone say, let's have a look. Who's saying hello in the Twitch chat? Give me a shout out if you're still there. Very appreciative if you are. Dangerous Dave, unfortunately, might not have the pace that he wanted or the setup he wanted due to that dropout, that Wi-Fi dropout in Q3 could cost Dave a lot more than people realise if he doesn't get that setup on. Well, no, because hang on, won't he? Now, this is a question to the room. So, those watching, if you know the answer, please do let me know in the Twitch chat. Won't the AI carry across the setup from qualifying to the race because of the Parc Ferme rules? Parc Ferme will indeed carry over, but it will rejoin in DNF due to a game glitch. Well, we kind of hope, only hope that that doesn't happen. Dave saying he'll give it a go, see what it feels like. Of course, there is no green flag lap, no warm-up / formation lap, whatever you want to call it, in MSC F1. So, Dangerous Dave, his first lap will, to test whether the game is going to work nicely or not, is to just absolutely ham it around the first lap. I personally hope, because I'd hate to see drivers' days getting ruined by glitches and whatnot, I personally hope that he does get a he does get his setup in. I personally hope he doesn't get glitched out. I really want him to race. As I said, I don't like seeing anyone's day get curbed by something that is 9 times out of 10 no fault of their own. As the clock has hit 9:05 British time, and that means that we are now just seconds away from the start of the Italian Grand Prix. The longest run down to turn 1 of any track in the calendar. And many cars across the top 10, across the entire field, to be honest, that are separated by very little in terms of times. This could be a crackerjack of a Grand Prix. I'm really up for it. I hope you guys are as well, watching or listening or driving, as I know a lot of you do, while you listen to me. Still, we wait for players. I think it's just Damir just waiting to see if we can get going. And here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Hold, and it's lights out, and away we go for the Italian Grand Prix. Adam Fleetwood on our right, Ben Wright on our left, and it looks like Ben Wright straight away has been swallowed up on the run down toward turn 1. That's going to give the slipstream away to the RB driver, though, as he looks to go deep on the brakes around the outside of Adam Fleetwood. Adam Fleetwood, can he get it back to the outside of turn 1? There is Lewis W up into P3. That is Phoenix Gray in the background who's gone off. He's down to last place. An awful start for one of the championship contenders. That's going to give Ben Wright massive confidence as we head now toward the De La Roja chicane. It's Adam Fleetwood leading Ben Wright. Lewis W sits P3. Brad is up to P4 ahead of his Red Bull teammate Adams. The two kick Saubers P6, P7. We've got Dino going backwards there. He is spun out in the Mercedes car. That's going to be some free places given back to Phoenix Gray. Daddy Cool gets disqualified from the session in the Alpine. He sits at the exit of the first chicane. There is Jonathan Corrin. There is a Williams going wildly offline coming out of the second Lesmo as we plunge down the hill in toward the Ascari chicane. We're following Jonathan Corrin. Cam McKenzie sits P10. Little Drips, Carlos Sainz, Smalley, Phoenix Gray, LA, Moomin Rider, Taz Manager and Dino round off the field. Jonathan Corrin, though's got it wrong coming out of the Ascari chicane. There you see him in the background. So as we follow Adam Fleetwood round the Parabolica, the Curva de Alboreto, to end lap 1, Adam Fleetwood leads top 4 that are separated by only about a second. Ben Wright sits P2, Lewis sits P3, Bradders sits P4, 4 manufacturers across the top 4, and it's Lewis challenging Ben Wright up the inside into turn 1. Late on the brakes, takes a lot of the inside sausage curb. Can he do the old switcheroo on the exit? Bradders trying to get involved as well, can't get anything done. Adams has fallen down the field some way. He's just got back up into P13 though, ahead of Smalley. Phoenix Gray on his recovery drive after that awful start is up to P11, sitting in the wheel tracks of Lil Drips and Carlos Sainz as they make their way down into the De La Roja chicane. At the front, it's all as they were. Dangerous Dave, though, retiring from the session. I can only presume that he is not happy with that car at all. There he is, pulling off the track. The AI. Oh no, that's Adams and Moomin Rider and Dino all collected in that. There were 3 cars collected in that as the AI was retiring Dangerous Dave. That was Moomin Rider, Adams and Taz Manager all got collected. Carlos Sainz has got ahead of Cam McKenzie. Phoenix Gray is in this battle. He needs to clear these cars very quickly and get out ahead of really Carlos Sainz in P7 in the Williams as they make their way down the back straight in toward the Curva de Alboreto and onto the main straight, and it's the leaders on the main straight now. Adam Fleetwood 121.8 goes purple, can't break clear of a second from everyone else though, and that's going to allow Ben Wright with DRS to not lose any time or any positions as they hit the first corner. Phoenix Gray's ahead of Lil Drips. He's up to P9. Can he go for Cam McKenzie? 3 wide into turn 1. Not quite, but does get Little Drips done on the brakes. He's up to P9, as I mentioned. Moomin Riders returned to pit lane after that contact with Dangerous Dave. So Phoenix Gray started in 4th, went to last. Now challenging Cam McKenzie on the run into the De La Roja chicane. It's late on the brakes from Lil Drips behind though. Has a look up the inside, gets it wrong. LA got loose coming out of the exit of the De La Roja chicane. Keeps it just about pointing in the right direction. He still remains P11. And already the top 4, 3.5 seconds clear of Damir, who's bringing the Dutchie 1.5 seconds along with him. And then comes the battle for P7. And right now, Cam McKenzie needs to stay in DRS range of Carlos Sainz, because otherwise the RB of Phoenix Gray, who we've just got a lovely helicopter shot of going through the Ascari chicane, is going to blast right past the Haas. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Ben Wright's a lot closer to Adam Fleetwood on this lap than he was a lap ago. Bradders, though, setting a purple lap. Are we going to see a 3-4 car battle going down into turn 1. Ben Wright's gaining, Lewis is gaining, Bradders is gaining, but no, they all stay as they were. In the background though, Phoenix Grey, a long way into the start of the straight, gets ahead of the Haas car. Dino's got ahead of Smalley. Phoenix Grey gaining all the while on Carlos Sainz with the benefit of DRS going into the first corner. There was some smoke there from a lockup from Carlos Sainz, but he doesn't go wide. He keeps it pointing in the straight line, and they make it through the first corner unscathed. This is the 5-car battle for P7. Tasman has just picked up a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the lane. That's not what he wanted at all. Little Drips trying to have a go at Cam McKenzie into the De La Rogier chicane. That Alpine filling the wing mirrors of the Haas as they hit the 2 Lesmos. Meanwhile, coming out of the second Lesmo, Lewis W very close to the back of Ben Wright, coming down the hill into the Ascari. Not often you get to see an overtake done here, anything outside of the Endurance Championship. Ben Wright an arm's length away from Adam Fleetwood, but keeping Lewis W and Bradders behind. That's important. The Dutchie's onto the back of his Kicksauber teammate Damir. Carlos Sainz is about to come under massive amount of pressure from Phoenix Grey. This is going to be an important couple of moves for the RB driver to limit as the damage done by that start as much as possible. Ben Wright still sitting there in P2. Lewis gaining, but not gaining enough. Every time Lewis and Bradders try and go for a move, they can't get anywhere by virtue of the fact they're in a DRS train. Phoenix has got ahead of Carlos Sainz. The 2 Kicksaubers are doing battle for P5 and P6. Phoenix Grey now has about 8 seconds. Let's have a look. Phoenix Grey now has 8.5 seconds to chase down to the leading pack. That is not a small margin by anyone's books as they make their way through corners of the middle sector of the Strack De La Rogier chicane and the 2 Lesmos up and down the field. As we follow the leaders on the run into the Ascari, they're all pretty evenly spaced at 3/4 tenths of a second. And there they go. There's the audio cues. And now down the back straight, are we going to see a move into the Curve de Alboreto? There are the 2 Kicksaubers in the background, and there is Phoenix Grey. That is the chase he is on. He's 1.9 seconds behind the 2 Kicksaubers. Got to get inside that 1 second window and got to drop Carlos Sainz as soon as possible. Meanwhile, let's have a look at the strategies that everyone is on. All of the leaders, the top 12, all starting on mediums. Smalley went for a set of hards. So did Adams too in the Red Bull. Jonathan Corin on a set of mediums as well. Meanwhile, Damir and the Dutchie swapping positions. Aleale's got ahead of Cam McKenzie. He's now up into P10 for Williams. It's very tight at the front of the field. Are we going to see a move into the De La Rogier chicane? On the shoulder camera of Ben Wright. He's got a good run out of the second part of the corner into the 2 Lesmos. That sounds almost like a little bit of a lock up there to my headphones as we head through the second Lesmo now. We're going to another bite of DRS down this straight in toward the Ascari chicane. As Phoenix Grey now 1.7 seconds behind the Kicksaubers, 1.6 ahead of Lil Drips, who's just got ahead of Carlos Sainz. And now Carlos Sainz, though, with a glorious run through the second part of the Ascari. That must have been done into Ascari as Cam McKenzie fights back against Aleale in the background. Carlos Sainz has got a run here on the Alpine going into the Curva de Alboreto. If he gets it right, he'll get the DRS down the main straight. They're so close to each other, there might have been a little bit of contact, but everyone keeps pointing in the same direction as now down the main straight they come. Carlos Sainz is going to breeze back past here the Alpine with the help of DRS when he gets there. There it goes. Carlos Sainz back up into P8. At the front of the field, it's still as they were. Aleale and Cam McKenzie still doing a battle. That is for P10, the last of the points-paying positions. I wonder if Little Drips can clear Carlos Sainz and if Aleale can close that gap, whether the 2 Williams will do any form of battling or not. Phoenix Grey still 1.7 seconds off the back of the 2 Kicksaubers. Could do with closing up that gap, although just gained massive amount of time through the De La Rogier chicane. This is good for the RB. He knows what he needs to do, and that is clear the 2 Kicksaubers and minimise the gap and point loss to his teammate, who is now only car lengths off the back of Adam Fleetwood, as we get another glorious helicopter shot through the Ascari. In fact, we can't quite see Bradders, but there he is on the reverse angle. Damer's got ahead. Dutchy's gone round in the Ascari chicane. That's dropped him down. There must have been close wheel fighting there between the two Kick Saubers. That's another free position for Phoenix Grey. That's going to be important. Carlos Sainz is still right on the back of Little Drips. Those two keep swapping positions. Phoenix Grey, I wonder whether Damir is going to pull into pit lane. No, he doesn't. Ben Wright, though, has gone for the lead. Here comes Lewis's W as well, up the inside of Adam Fleetwood. Gets it done into the chicane. And now it's Ben Wright at the end of lap 7, the start of lap 8, leading the Italian Grand Prix in an Italian-made car. One Italian firm overtakes the other, but here comes the Americans. Here comes the Haas coming into the Della Roche chicane. Now we're going to see an Oscar Piastri style move. Not quite, but there was a big lock up there from Ben Wright, and Lewis went a little bit deep as well. So it's scrappy fighting here for the lead, and all the way down the field now as Phoenix Grey tucked up behind Damir in the Kick Sauber. Phoenix Grey's got to clear the car, and then he's only got the leaders ahead of him to worry about. And there goes Damir, spinning out of the first of the two Lesmos. Got a little bit high and onto the AstroTurf, and that drops him down the position. The Dutchie did go into the pits, so Carlos Sainz up into P6 ahead of Little Drips, who's going for a move. He's going to have to go around the outside of the Williams into Ascari. Gets the move done as they hit the brakes. Ben Wright has lost the lead to, oh, there's 4 cars side by side. We're going to follow this battle for a little bit. 3 cars wide going through the Curve de Alboreto. Lewis W in the lead though. So Ben Wright's lap time at the top of the field only lasts for less than a lap, and now surely the Haas is going to get swallowed up. Here comes Ben Wright. He's already ahead of Adam Fleetwood. He's going for Lewis W on the brakes up the inside into the first chicane. Gets it done. Can Bradders go clean around the outside as well? He got ahead of Adam Fleetwood on the brakes. Can he do it on exit? In the background you see Carlos Sainz and Little Drip still doing battle. Not quite. The leaders battling onwards, separated by about half a second, and now into the Della Roche chicane. There's a look, there's a move, but nothing going. All the while, this is giving Phoenix Grey massive time advantage. That gap was 8.5 seconds. It's down to 6 and a bit, 6.5 seconds realistically, once you take into effect the Della Roche chicane. So the Phoenix needs the leaders to keep on battling, and then it is going to be an absolute car crash when he gets there in hopefully just a few laps time. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead goes on into the Ascari chicane. As I said, we'll be following this through now, I reckon, till the end of the race, if they all get the strategies right. It was a great run out of the Ascari for Adam Fleetwood. He's having a look up the inside, trying to force Bradders offline into the Curve de Alboreto. You're going to need to try better than that though to get Bradders offline. And now coming through the final corner, who's got DRS on who? Lewis will have DRS on Ben Wright. Bradders and Fleetwood, Adam Fleetwood as well, as here we come. They're almost lining up to shape up for 4 cars abreast down the main straight. Lewis W though going up the inside of the race leader into the first chicane. Has to go defensive though from Bradders, who's on the racing line, got much later on the brakes than the Haas car. Adam Fleetwood though kept his nose clean, and he's now trying to dance around the outside of Bradders on the traction zone. Couldn't get it done. Is forced up high and wide through the Curva Grande. He's got the inside line for the Della Roche chicane. Can he get it done on the brakes beforehand though? Adam Fleetwood, yes he can. He's up to P3 in the Ferrari. Phoenix Grey gaining a little bit of time all the while on those just up the road. That gap now down to 6.5 seconds. Ale, Carlos Sainz and Little Drip still battling on. Ale went for a reverse, went for some oversteer going into the Della Roche chicane to get the move done on Carlos Sainz. He's up into P6. Yellow flag in sector 2. That is for Damir in the Kick Sauber, who spun out of the Della Roche. He had a great qualifying. It's not going as well for him in the race as the leaders make their way down the back straight in toward the Curve de Alboreto. Lewis W completely ignoring the scarlet red Ferrari of Adam Fleetwood into the last corner, only focusing on the blue and silver V-carb up the road. Here we go, DRS train. We know how this goes before. Is Lewis W close enough for a move this time on the V-carb? He's looking up the inside. He's on the brakes. Oh, not quite getting it done. Adam Fleetwood has to jam on the brakes a little bit. Phoenix Grey is pitting very early at the end of lap 10, going on to lap 11. What is he going on to? He wants a set of softs. We're going for a 2-stop here with Phoenix Grey. Was there damage involved? No, they've got it. Was a set of hard tires. I thought it would be, but softs momentarily indicated. So Phoenix Grey back out onto track for a set of hards. Jonathan Corrin in the pits as well wants a set of hards for the Aston Martin team. So we're at the start of the pit stop window then, and Phoenix Grey has gone for the big undercut. The two Williams and Lil Drip still very close to each other. They're now fighting for P5. The leaders all still battling as they make their way into the Ascari chicane. And it's Ben Wright leading Lewis W, leading Adam Fleetwood, leading Bradders in P4. We'll keep an eye on what Phoenix Grey, what kind of lap times Phoenix Grey is doing as the leaders make their way through the Curva de Alboreto. And down onto the main straight, and straight away Ben Wright, Lewis W and Bradders all diving into the pits. Adam Fleetwood, the only one of the leaders staying out on track. This is going to be critical. The gap was at 6.5 seconds. How much time has Phoenix Grey been able to make up in his clear track? He's coming down the back straight. Now, everyone else, Ale stays out on track. Carlos Sainz and Lil Drips comes into the pits. So the three leaders come out as they were. They're going to come out behind Dino and Adams as well. The gap is going to be between Bradders and Phoenix Grey only about 5 seconds. So Phoenix Grey, by undercutting, has found about a second or so. That's good news for the RB driver. Does have to get past Smalley though in a little bit's time when he closes that gap down on the Aston Martin car. We'll need to get that done quickly. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. That's for Damir, who's having a woeful race, it has to be said. Importantly as well, where is Adam Fleetwood going to come out as he makes his pit stop, I presume, at the end of this lap? Rounding the Curva de Alboreto, will follow him as he keeps right and heads into the pits, gets it down to 50 miles an hour. Brad is picking up a 3-second time penalty for track extension. He's on the back of the leaders. There they are, the leaders that have been battling all through the race. Adam Fleetwood in the pits will, I presume, will get Ale and Dino in the next few moments as well. They're both on medium tyres. There's Ale, there's Dino. Where is Adam Fleetwood? There's the pit exit sign. Here come the leaders. This is going to be quite tight actually as they make their way down the main straight. Dino stayed out on track. Where is Adam Fleetwood? There he is, and he's come out in the lead. The overcuts worked this time. Lewis W got ahead of Ben Wright. Bradders stays in P4, but it's Adam Fleetwood up into the lead of the Grand Prix. As Dino in the pits. Damir retires from the session in the pit lane. Phoenix Grey is only 2 seconds now off the back of Smalley, who is 2 seconds off the back of Adams, who is 2 seconds off the back of the leaders. So the leaders have pulled some time back onto Phoenix Grey. He could still do with getting past or do with it staying as they are, with Ben Wright in 4th and Phoenix Grey running in net 5th. That gap will only become 14 points with 2 to go at the end of today's race. Meanwhile, Adam Fleetwood, he's going to have a job to do to keep ahead of that Haas car. Phoenix Grey's got ahead of Smalley going down into Ascari. Ale's picked up 3 seconds of time penalties. The gap that Phoenix Grey is behind the leaders is 5.5 seconds. All of these storylines to play out over the net. We've only just crossed half race distance. Crazy to say it. So all of these storylines still to play out over the next half an hour or so. How long can Adams and Smalley go as well on their hard compound tyres they started on? Meanwhile, on the run into turn 1, Lewis W is going to have to go the long way round on the brakes. Adam Fleetwood with a double front lockup and well, I'm not entirely sure how to describe that. Double fronts lock, both fronts locked up. The rear of the car slewed round. It got him incredible turning and somehow was able to keep the position, whether he forced Lewis a little bit offline. As there's a back marker coming up, that is Taz Manager in P16 in the Mercedes. What is that going to add to the battle for the lead? As Phoenix Grey now only a second and a half off the back of Adams. He's Gaining time on the leaders is the RB driver. This is what he needs to do, and if he can get inside that 3-second window of Bradders come the end of the race, that will help him a little bit out as well. Meanwhile, the leaders nose hairs splitting Lewis W and Adam Fleetwood's front and rear wings as they headed into the Ascari chicane there, as they make their way out of the Ascari up toward the Curva de Alboreto. There is Phoenix Grey in the background right behind the Red Bull. That's how much that gap's come down. Jonathan Corin picking up a 3-second time penalty. But onto the main straight we go. How many moves are we going to see for the lead? Here we go. Here's one. Lewis W going up the inside on Adam Fleetwood with the help of DRS. Adam Fleetwood could get swallowed up here as well by Bradders going round the outside. Adam Fleetwood got some glorious drive out of the second corner. So too did Ben Wright, and Bradders has gone from the offensive to being in third to being in fourth, having lost out position there. Adams made his way into the pits, but picked up a 10-second time penalty for speeding. So Phoenix Grey is now clear track behind the leaders, 5 seconds back. He's made up a good second and a half, 2 seconds through the pit stop window, and now he can see them. That gap's going to be coming down all the while as here we go down the straight toward the Ascari chicane. Is anyone close enough for a move? Bradders is right on the back of Ben Wright, trying to scare the championship leader into going defensive, but he doesn't have to. But Bradders looked like he got a fantastic drive through the mid part of the Ascari chicane. As now the leaders are trying to pick up the slipstream from Taz Manager as they hit the Curva de Alboreto. Is there going to be DRS for Lewis W? Is he going to be able to hold on to the lead of the Grand Prix? What can Phoenix Grey do as this group of 4 keep battling? There is Phoenix Grey in the background rounding the final corner. Lewis W did get DRS off the back of Taz Manager. He holds the lead into the first chicane. Adam Fleetwood got ahead of Ben Wright though for P2, and Bradders got a little bit shaky at a turn out of the second corner as well. Importantly though, no time lost while they were getting through the back marker. Carlos Sainz and Little Trips and Ale and the Dutchie too now all fighting for what is on the road P7, what will be net P6 by the time that Smalley makes his pit stop in presumably the next couple of laps. He's going well on those hard tyres in Smalley. Can he maybe get that Aston Martin up into a points paying position by the end of the Grand Prix as the leaders make their way out of the second Lesmo, down the hill in towards the Ascari chicane? We'll keep an eye on the battle for P7 as it goes on as well. They're going through the first of the 2 Lesmos now. Meanwhile, through the final parts of the Ascari chicane, Lewis W leading Adam Fleetwood, who's going a little bit offline, getting some cool air into those brakes. They're all being very tactical going into the final corner. They all want to make sure they get DRS and not lose it and not lose out their DRS by having to go for an overtake. But that puts Lewis W on the back foot. It puts Ben Wright and Adam Fleetwood on the front foot. Are we going to see a 2-car overtake for the lead? Adam Fleetwood's waiting, picking up the inside. Ben Wright had a look around the outside. This is going to pay dividends for him. Adam Fleetwood, we know how good his traction is. And there it is again. It's outstanding traction from the Ferrari driver. Clean around the outside of the second part of the corner. He's up to the lead of the Grand Prix. Ben Wright's being forced onto the high line through the Curva Grande. Just about a car's width being left by the Haas driver. Ben Wright doesn't feel it into the De La Roger. There mustn't have been very close though to the gearbox into the De La Roger. It's now through the 2 Lesmos. On the shoulder cam we were. Bradders has got a great run out of the first Lesmo. What can he do coming down into Ascari? But Adam Fleetwood back up into the lead. He's leading for Ferrari in Italy. All the while Phoenix Grey, that gap's now down to 4.8 seconds. He's got to dial in here. Does Phoenix Grey, can he pick up some DRS off the back of Taz Manager just to give him a little helping nudge going forward, because he naturally loses time to the car straight in front of him due to DRS down every straight. Meanwhile, Adam Fleetwood's making a break for it here. He's not quite made enough of a break. Lewis W stayed inside a second, I believe. But if he didn't, this is going to be disaster for Lewis W. Is he going to lose even more time? Adam Fleetwood's gone purple, 121.497. Did Lewis W get the DRS? Yes, he did. He just about was inside that 1 second window. That magical 1 second, but through the first chicane they go. Let's have a look at that timing screen. So Phoenix Grey 7 seconds off the lead. That's the important one in terms of the championship. Carlos Sainz and Smalley and the Duchy and Ale are all doing battle. Little Drips has fallen off a little bit from that fight, but as the two Williams and the Alpine and the Kick Sauber try and make their way past the yet to stop Smalley and the Aston Martin, there's not all too much resistance being able to put up by the Aston Martin just by how old those tyres are. Meanwhile, the leaders heading into the Ascari chicane. Adam Fleetwood trying to break away from the leaders has brought Lewis W with him a little bit, but out through the Ascari chicane. Adam Fleetwood using all of his tyres right now. He's trying to make a break for the lead. He's got the gap. He's got the 1 second window. This is now going to pay into his hands if he can keep that gap over the 1 second for the next few laps, because here comes Ben right now on the back of Lewis W. Yellow flag in sector 2. That's for a slow moving Cam McKenzie, I do believe. Meanwhile, down the main straight, Ben Wright with DRS gets ahead of Lewis W. Brad, is he close enough for a move on Lewis W? Not quite on this occasion. Cam McKenzie, 3 second time penalty. Phoenix Grey losing time at the moment to the leaders. That gap up now to 6.5 seconds. Not what he needs for his championship contention. At the moment, he's giving away 8 points. That gap going up to 20 points with 2 races to go. As make sure that the mic still works. Every now and then it is good to check. Meanwhile, Brad is going through the 2 Lesmos. 0.4 of a second behind Lewis W, who is 0.7 of a second behind Ben Wright. Ben Wright, seen that Adam Fleetwood's trying to make a bit of a breakaway, doesn't want to afford him that gap. Wants to try and maximise the damage done to his teammate Phoenix Grey's championship contention, rounding the Ascari chicane and up toward the Curva de Alboreto. This is the end of lap 19. We're about to go on to lap 20. Only 8 laps to go. And Adam Fleetwood is going to be counting them down. There's only there's not that many chances left to go for an overtake. Ben Wright, though, a new purple lap, a 121.1. Closing down. He's inside that DRS range of Adam Fleetwood. Adam tried to go for that burst and break through away from the other 3, but was unable to do it. Smalley now has dropped behind Lil Drips. Is it time for him to make a pit stop and get off those hard compound tyres that he's been on since the start? As Jonathan Corin has got ahead of Cam McKenzie. Oh, that was a little bit interesting for Ben Wright, having to get entirely off the throttle and the brakes going into the De La Roche chicane. Phoenix Grey, I think he's given up a little bit on his chase for the lead. Still 7 seconds off the leading pack now. And 10 points is still a good result. It still picks him up enough to... It still limits the damage, but can he get a faster slap? Can he save up the battery and the tyre life to go for it? That undercut looked like it might have worked for the RB driver, but now it looks like his tyres are just beginning to go off the cliff a little bit. Meanwhile, Adam Fleetwood trying to break away again from Ben Wright as they hit the brakes for the Curva de Alboreto at the end of lap 20. Here we go across the line. Ben Wright still inside DRS range of the Ferrari, but that gap is too big for a move going into turn 1 at the moment. There's just some gaps beginning to form here across the top 4, but they're still only separated by 1.5 seconds as they hit the brakes for the first chicane. Phoenix Grey 7.5 seconds back now. Ale right on the back of his teammate Carlos Sainz. This is 4 position. This is 4 P6 between the Williams brethren. There in the background is Little Drips versus the Duchy as they make their way down the front straight away. Ale got ahead of Carlos Sainz. Smalley's in the pits for Aston Martin finally. Will that be a set of softs or a set of mediums? It's a set of mediums for Smalley. He drops down to P14. He will be plenty enough clear of Newman Ryder. He'll be on the fastest tyres going. We've got a yellow flag at the end of sector 1. Who is that for? Was that for Lil Drips, who's going slowly? I think it was. Was there contact between the Alpine and the Duchy in the battle for P8? Because he's now lost 2 positions. He's out of the points. There is Adams. There is Dino. There's a big lock-up there for the Duchy going into the De La Roche chicane. Meanwhile, Ale still ahead of Carlos Sainz. Yellow flag. That's for Dino in the middle sector. that gives JK a free position. Little Drips is involved in that too. So JK and Cam McKenzie up now into P10 and 11, and these two are fighting on as they have been for a lot of this race. Meanwhile, the front of the fields, the gap back down to a second across the top four. Adam Fleetwood's little breakaway has been caught and collected again by the other three. We're on to lap 22. And we know just how good Adam Fleetwood is on the throttle when he needs to be out of that first chicane. That is one of his great strengths that we've seen so far through the first 20-something laps of the Grand Prix as they now hit the De La Roger chicane. Ben Wright looks to be putting on a lot more pressure onto the Ferrari driver. He knows how few laps there are left. He knows that a massive point swing here, if he can get up into the lead of the Grand Prix, get himself that 26 points for the day and get an extra 16 points on Phoenix Gray. Just how much pressure that puts on his teammate. 28 points with 2 races to go. Meanwhile, Adam Fleetwood not necessarily worrying about all that. Bradders just taking a 3-second time penalty there, going off track very wide at the exit of Ascari into the gravel trap. That's going to cost him a lot of time. What's that going to do for his penalty count? He's up to 6 seconds now of penalties, so Phoenix Gray could pick up an extra position maybe if he finds the time on Bradders. But at the front of the field, 8/10 separating the top 3 with Bradders' mistake there. He's going to fall away, I reckon, from the leaders. It's what we've seen Phoenix Gray do since his pit stop 10 laps ago. Ben Wright goes for a dummy up the inside into the first chicane. Lap 23 of 27. Not too many to go now more, Adam. As they make their way out of the first chicane, there's the traction of Adam Fleetwood that keeps him in the lead lap after lap. It keeps that gap building all the while. Taz manager into the pits for Mercedes. That could be for a fastest lap attempt. Smalley is gaining time on Dino and Cam McKenzie all the while. That battle going down. Can Smalley get up into the points? Jonathan Corrin, Cam McKenzie and Little Drips all in a battle for P10 as they head into the first chicane. Meanwhile, Adam Fleetwood, Ben Wright, Lewis W. separated by 0.8 of a second as they were 2/3 of a lap ago going through the Ascari chicane. Brad is now falling away. He's losing time to both those in front and behind. Phoenix Gray now 7 seconds off the back, needs 1.2 seconds, 1.3 seconds to find to get into Bradders' penalty count window. Jonathan Corr and Cam McKenzie still fighting on through the Lesmo corners. Meanwhile, down the front straightaway, here we go. Adam Fleetwood under pressure from Ben Wright in the DRS. He goes defensive onto the racing line. Ben Wright was too far back to make a move. Adam Fleetwood knows it. As he's on to 24 now of 27. Phoenix Gray 6.8 off the back of Bradders. Bradders losing time here. Has he overcooked his tyres in the exhaust fumes of the Ferrari, the RB and the Haas in front? I wonder. I think that might be the case. Alea and Carlos Sainz doing battle, the two Williams. That's for P6 on track. That is going into the first corner. How close is Adams to the Dutchie? What tyre advantage is there going on in that battle? That might be in a battle for P8 maybe. Little Drips looks like he's broken clear of Jonathan Corrin and Cam McKenzie, so unless there's penalty counts going on there, that battle looks to be one and done for Little Drips, who looks like he will all but get a point in this race if he keeps it clean through the last few laps. Meanwhile, Adam Fleetwood, his race is definitely not one and done. He's still got a lot of battling to do. At the end, when he crosses the line, there'll be 3 laps to go, and he's got Ben Wright and Lewis W still sitting there in his wheel tracks. How much battery does he have compared to the two behind? That's the question that is going to be so pivotal, because it's the battery that he can use to defend to the DRS to some level. So here we go, down the front straight. Jonathan Corrin picks up a 3-second time penalty. That could hurt his chances of getting P11. Ben Wright looks to go on the attack, but just trying to scare Adam Fleetwood offline. Doesn't get the opportunity to. Adam Fleetwood holding the lead of the Grand Prix still, as he has done for so many laps of this Grand Prix. Phoenix Gray, he's now down to 6.4 seconds off the back of Bradders. That's going to be important if he can get inside 6 seconds for the penalty count. Carlos Sainz and Alea, the two Williams, still battling on down there in P6. Is Dino's gaining on that battle for P11 as well? That could be interesting going into the last dying moments of the race. Meanwhile, with 2.5 laps to go, Adam Fleetwood leading from Ben Wright. Half a second is the gap. Jonathan Coran and Cam Mackenzie very close to each other, as they have been again for so much of this race. There have been battles brewing and fought over the last 25-26 laps. As here we go, coming to the end of another one. Adam Fleetwood leads Ben Wright and Lewis W into the Curve de Alboreto. Rounding the final corner, only has to do that 2 more times. He's on to lap 26. Little Drips has caused the yellow flag in the De La Roger chicane. All of a sudden now that battle for P11's turned into a battle for P10, and Dino's on the back of it. Adam Fleetwood's getting swallowed up. He's lost 1. He's lost 2 positions. Brent Wright on the brakes gets it done. Adam Fleetwood goes from 1st to 3rd in the space of 2 corners, but with that mighty Ferrari traction, can he ever go at Ben Wright through Curve Grande in the slipstream going in toward the De La Roger chicane? No, Ben Wright has it covered. So now Lewis W leads the Grand Prix with just over a lap and a half to go. Phoenix Gray's inside 6 seconds of Bradders. As I said, that's important for penalty count. And now with Ben Wright up into 2nd and not in 3rd, that's going to play not into 1st. That's going to be important too for the championship. Are we going to see a move going down the hill in toward Ascari? They've all got DRS, does Ben Wright and Adam Fleetwood on the Haas ahead. Does the Haas have to go defensive? Ben Wright wants to have a look up the inside. Still plenty of overtaking chances left on this track as they make their way out of the Ascari. They will round the Curve de Alboreto this time and 1 time more after that. Are we going to see any late braking moves into the first chicane? It's all up in the air for the top 3 who have been separated by nothing through all through the race so far. The DRS is going to be open for Ben Wright and Adam Fleetwood. The battery is going to be drained. Lewis W, what can he do to defend? He's in the middle of the road. Ben Wright's gone to the inside line. He's going to have to do it late on the brakes. Lewis W so confident on the brakes in the Haas though. Not locking up, not snatching a wheel. Ben Wright wanted to get a little bit better traction, just couldn't get away with it, and now that's going to open the chance for Adam Fleetwood with the slipstream and the battery jump and the high side round the Curve Grande. Can he set himself up for a move into the Ascari chicane on the lead of the Grand Prix as he's up into P2 on the brakes into the De La Roger chicane? Is he? Not quite. Could he go for the old switcheroo on the exit? He's back up the inside as they head toward the first of the 2 Lesmos. All the while, this is going to let Lewis W get further and further away. Adam Fleetwood, he's up into P2 now. Ben Wright back to P3. That's going to be important for the championship. Now Adam Fleetwood, he's got DRS. He's probably only going to have this chance and 1 more if he wants to win the Grand Prix for Ferrari in Italy. 2 corners to go, 2 proper corner sequences. Here's one of them. Adam Fleetwood needs the perfect exit. Bradders with another 3-second time penalty. Fleetwood got the perfect exit. He's got the inside line into the final corner. It's going to come down to who's late on the brakes. Adam Fleetwood, he's gone for it up the inside. There's a little bit of wheel contact. Adam Fleetwood, he's going to do it, is he? Round the final corner. Adam Fleetwood up to the line. There's going to be millimetres separating them on the line. Adam Fleetwood wins the Italian Grand Prix from Lewis W by 79 thousandths of a second. Ben Wright will come home for P3, complete the podium. Phoenix Gray will pick off Bradders for P4. That means that Ben Wright only puts 4 points on him on the championship. 16 points now the gap that he has to make up across the last 2 races. Carlos Sainz and Ale, the Williams are going to come home in formation flying. Sainz is going to get it thanks to Ale's podium. The Duchy will come home in P8 for Kick Sauber. They'll be kicking themselves quite literally for what that day could have been. Adams has got massive amounts of penalty. Is that going to drop him back behind Dino, who's rounding the final corner now? Can he get an extra 2 points on his way up to the line? Cam Mackenzie's going to hold off Jonathan Coran as they cross the line. Cam Mackenzie's going to get the P10 point actually, with Dino having an extra penalty as well. Jonathan Coran will lead home smallly for P11 and P12. Dino crosses the line for P13. Lil Drips was fighting up and down the field all the way through the race. Movement Rider comes home P15. Taz Manager, the 1-lapped car, in P16. I don't know about you. I'm absolutely exhausted after that. You could probably hear that my voice has gone over the stream. That was absolutely enthralling racing. Brad is sitting there in P4. I know you're going to be on the Twitch chat. you must have had a glorious view for the last 3 laps. But just like it was in real life, a Ferrari driver stands on the top step of the podium at the end of the Italian Grand Prix. That was unreal. Adam Fleetwood, the race winner. He's going to get my driver of the day straight off the bat. That last lap move, that last corner move up the inside of Lewis W, breaking the Haas driver's heart. There is the final classifications though. Adam Fleetwood, Lewis W, Ben Wright, Phoenix Gray, Bradders, Sainz, Ale, Dutchy, Adams, Cam McKenzie, JK, Smalley, Dino, Moomin Rider, Lil Drips, Taz Manager, the last of the classified finishers. Damir had a woeful Grand Prix, starting from P9, was so close up and down the field. Dangerous Dave got kicked out in qualifying, and Daddy Cool didn't complete the first lap. Folks, I have been sharp. I have lost my voice. I hope to see you all again very, very soon. It will be next week for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone, the penultimate race of the season, where Phoenix Gray has to overturn 16 points across the last 2 races to win the championship. For now, though, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Good night, and goodbye.
basics. What hit me, what hurt me, what made me? Cause maybe this life is worth saving. And I